Welcome to the episode of Love and Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, I am going to be breaking down the Vanderpump Villa Reunion. There was a lot of tea spilt, there was a lot of drama that unfolded, and so much yelling and screaming. But what more could we expect from these cast of characters who have done nothing all season but yell at one another? Before we dive in, make sure to check out my interviews with cast members Grace, Priscilla, and Caroline, who spilled some tea, talked about their time on the show. They were just amazing to chat with. Three of my favorite individuals on this show. I love talking to them. It was a lot of fun, and I hope you check out those interviews because they are fantastic. If you're watching here on the YouTube channel, I will put all of those interviews in the comments, so you just click a button and head on over to those interviews. But thank you guys so much for your support throughout the entirety of the season of Vanderpump Villa. It's been a wild and crazy one. But without further ado, let's dive into the Vanderpump Villa reunion. All right. Karami Brown, the host of Queer Eye, is hosting this reunion. It's been 6 months since the chateau was shut down. Lisa said she wasn't able to see how everything unfolded, but she heard some things, but she now has watched the show, and she said this is her final comment card if she wants to use them again in the future. It just there was a lot of drama. Hannah and Marciano are just filled with drama with Gabriella. Andre's looking as dapper as ever. But before we dive in, let me start by ranking the looks of the reunion. All right, I'm going to go through top to bottom of who I felt looked the best at this reunion. My number one was Priscilla. She just looked absolutely stunning, beautiful, incredible. Andre is just always looking dapper. Steven, I love Steven. I love his look, the aesthetics, the earrings, just everything that he brought to the table just popped. Caroline is absolutely beautiful, looked the part. Chef Anthony looked good, just dressed up, not with the chef outfit on. He was looking, he was looking dapper himself. And then I had Grace. Gabriella is beautiful. Telly is just gorgeous. Emily, Nikki, Hannah, and Marciano. That's the order of the way I rank their looks. Lisa announced that while their show was airing, that they found out about some allegations from Eric's past, and although nothing about the allegations proceeded, they thought it would be best if Eric wasn't at the reunion. Definitely an interesting way to start the reunion. You can look up some past allegations about Eric. They kind of came out, and it was weird. It was a weird vibe to kind of start the show, but Lisa said she found herself quite a bit of concerned after rewatching the show. Gabriella and Andre's romance is the center of the tension first. Apparently, they are single because of the distance, and they got back to real life, and it kind of fell off a little bit. They asked if their intentions were real, and this is the first of many times that Hannah and Marciano decide to speak up when it's not their turn, and said that they were so fake and that Gabriella would have slept with anyone. Andre was the only one that wanted to quote unquote have sex with her. Whew. Telly actually spoke up here, which I thought was beautiful, because obviously going into this, we had seen Telly kind of have this arc that didn't seem very redeeming of her character, especially the early stages of what we saw on the show with her teaming up with Anna. And she just spoke up and said nobody wanted to have sex with Marciano, which was fucking hilarious. Lisa calls out Marciano, how he speaks to women. Thank fucking God. This guy is terrible. This dude has been awful this entire time. He reacts poorly, says things. He got physical with people. This was insane. If Marciano is coming back for another season of Vanderpump Villa, I don't know if I can just trust Lisa's judgment of casting him again. I really don't. I understand she talks about how, well, when they're away from the chateau, he's great at his job. There's a difference between being great at your job and being downright disrespectful and yelling and screaming and over talking women. The way he talks to women is deplorable. Andre even calls him out saying, how many women did you get into it with? And he said, many of them. Followed by, did you ever step at me, Chef, or Anthony? And Marciano said, no. Exactly. He would have never stepped to Andre. Andre would have whooped his ass in about 5 seconds. Man, shut the fuck up, Boro. God. All right. Hannah calls out Grace for saying Marciano was scum at the bottom of her shoe, to which Marciano said she was wrong, and he even admitted saying that Grace didn't say that to Marciano, but said it to Hannah. Instead, Grace iterates that she feels the same fucking way. Fuck yes, Grace. Step on that shit. It is revealed that Andre is a bit of a player, and apparently Andre had a girlfriend. Somebody sent a message into the show. Obviously, I think it was probably this girlfriend, and said that he was sneaking and texting her throughout the entirety of the show. Andre admits that he was single walking into the chateau. He was not in a relationship and has receipts himself. This is where this stopped. This was weird. It stopped right there. Not another question, not anything else, nothing. It was very, very, very weird. Hannah and Marciano attempt to be the stars of the reunion, yapping when everyone is talking. Andre called out Hannah for liking Eric. She rebukes it. Andre said that Marciano, quote unquote, was blind. We get a montage of behind the scenes footage of Hannah and Eric being quite smitten with one another. Hannah said that Eric taught her things about how a man should treat a woman. Marciano was all negative Nancy about that, which was hilarious because it's true. Eric on the show, we're going to say on the show because, again, on the show is what I've seen. He did. I mean, he was a little bit of a flirt, a little bit of a player, but we saw some good things from him. Hannah Marciano time. Hannah said the sex was great. Lisa jokes. She said she should have said it was bad. After France, they went back to reality, but they are work in progress. Hannah cries. Of course, Hannah is. Hannah is being pissy, and everyone is telling everyone to shut up. Steven said her and Hannah had gotten close, that Marciano was always partying and drinking. He said Marciano was caught at a bar having drinks together with a girl. Steven said she can't even look at a dude without him freaking out. Marciano said, you don't know shit about us, and you don't know what I've allowed her to do. Now, Lisa calls him out, and he tries to correct himself. But let's be real. He meant what he said, right? You know what I mean? Now, he says that allowed as in like what they've allowed in the relationship and what they've done to each other back and forth. I don't really care. Marciano is mad because Steven sent a video to the producers. Marciano calls Steven a rat. The host analyzes the picture of Marciano, saying that the picture felt like it was more than meets the eye. Hannah is yapping even more. She says she felt betrayed by Gabriella, Priscilla, and Grace because the whole story of Gabriella said Hannah's mother would look at her and say she was a failure. If I was a mother, she didn't say that. She didn't say that. They show her clip, and she literally said, like, if I saw my daughter acting like this way, I would be ashamed. She never one time said Hannah's mother would be ashamed. Gabriella tries to speak up and say this and say a word and talk about it, and Hannah won't shut the fuck up. This is what pissed me off about this reunion. Gabriella didn't have a chance to say shit. Tella didn't even have a chance to give her arc, and we'll dive into that in a minute, but Hannah and then of course the Hannah and Priscilla incident about the whole skirt thing is brought up. Priscilla tries to talk, and again, Hannah makes it about herself. Caroline speaks up about Priscilla's feelings, and Hannah Marciano won't shut the fuck up, and everyone still feels Hannah is insecure. Chef Anthony finally speaks up, which was nice to hear him talk. I mean, we got like 5 words out of him. Lisa said that she likes Hannah and Marciano separate, as they do a good job. Whatever. She said she wonders what it would be like if she had hired one and not the other. Eric is the talk of the conversation. Emily is asked about Eric, and they had a great relationship. She said nobody liked him, so it's hard to figure out what to say to others, and she felt insecure. And then, of course, the stuff that came out after the show aired, she was nervous about what she was said. She said Emily and Eric talk about having a little romance. They had some stuff post Chateau, and it was hard for her, especially with her watching it. Emily and Grace, we get a montage of them being BFFs. They left and talked all the time, but as time had gone by, Hannah starts yapping her mouth. Grace isn't happy she's friends with Hannah, and that kind of affected their relationship. They talk about how Emily just says, you can't be friends with her if you're going to be friends with me, which I understand. Hannah was trash on the show. Maybe that's not how she is in real life, but again, that's how she treated me. That's how she treated us, so we can't be friends. I get it. I don't want to be friends with people that trash me either, so I don't want my friends to be associated. It's about who you're associated with. Gabriella and Telly talk their way through their problems and have become friends. I love this, okay? I love this. This is the type of arc that you want to see in a reunion. Gabriella and Tella had that big showdown where she called their names. Telly said she apologized to her and said that she felt empathy towards what she did. They talked to each other. They had become friends through the entire process. Telly was about to talk more about the story, and then she talked and then just was interrupted. Like, it pissed me off. She was pissed. She was trying to say her piece. Tella says they're getting painted as mean girls and wanted to kind of go this full circle. And I didn't love Karami Brown at times because I felt like he just interrupted. He tried to make himself I understand he's the host and has to reel some of this in, but when he interrupts Telly, Telly's trying to tell a fucking story here. I wanted to hear Telly. I wanted to hear about this arc. I wanted to hear about her and Gabriella's relationship. I wanted to hear about what they did. Because again, we've seen these two butt heads throughout this entirety of the season. We want to see what and hear how this relationship has flourished post-show. Let Telly speak. I don't know. That just pissed me off. Gabriella and Telly couldn't fucking finish a story, but we let Hannah and Marciano just run their mouths and talk over everybody like it's nothing. On the flip side, Karami Brown does give the flowers to Priscilla for leaving, which I was happy about because mental health is important. She talked about she knew her worth and how walking away from the show was making her best decision. She talked about that on my podcast, on the interview that we had with each other. It was beautiful. I loved it. You need to listen to it because it was fantastic. It was a great conversation with her, and she kind of goes more in detail on what went down. And of course, Hannah speaks up and says she doesn't want to be labeled as someone kicking out Priscilla. Hannah cries. Again, the way she delivers and handles things, it was a hard journey. Lisa defends her. I just don't care. I just don't care. And Gabriella says she knows that Hannah can be good and tries to clear up the mom's statement again. And then, of course, Hannah is interrupted. But at some point in time, we push Gabriella to force to be apologized. Why? What the fuck is going on? This would just piss me off. It just pissed me off over and over and over again. Host asked Andre if he would have went for Nikki over Gabriella, and he said no because of the type of woman she is. Apparently, Nikki is taken and engaged. Marciano apparently told her while they were walking outside before they got into the reunion goodbye to her career after saying she was engaged. What? Anthony and Caroline finally get to talk about these two. Finally. Never before seen footage. Lisa asked everyone who the best member of the staff was. The majority of the staff said Chef Anthony. Apparently, Chef Anthony got a bigger bonus than the $9,000 that was given. And she said to him, this was just the start of their relationship. This trip was, which is great. I mean, not a single person had to complain about it. I would if there's a season 2, Chef Anthony's locked in as the chef. Period. End of story. I don't want to see anybody else. I want to see this doesn't want to do it. Lisa said the show was a resounding success. She adores each and every one of them and exploring opening another villa. She's open to the idea of everyone re-interviewing for their jobs. And then Hannah just said, this is bullshit. I don't know what that was supposed to mean, but whatever. Overall thoughts, this was the Hannah Marciano show, period. And it was really annoying because I really loved some of these characters from this show. And they're not characters, but I love this cast. Grace, Priscilla, Caroline, Gabriella, Chef Anthony. There's Stefan. There's so many people on this cast that deserve to tell their story and tell their journey here. And we condensed it into the Hannah and Marciano show, which really pissed me off. And I really just would love to hear Telly and Gabriella talk about their relationship, how it unfolded, and what, that transformation in that process. I understand you have to cut down and edit stuff, but it was just really, really annoying to hear them fucking bicker over and over again, over-talk people. But like I said, if we have a season 2, Marciano's on that show, we're going to have a conversation because I'm not sure I can watch that. Folks, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Love and Reality podcast. If you're listening on podcast platforms, you will now hear my interview with Grace from Vanderpump Villa, who talks about her time on the show.